Tato, it's fascinating, that there's a perception in society on how women need to come across as being strong.
You can't say, I'm tired. You can't say, I'm burning out, I'm overwhelmed.
Yes, it leads to burnout. It's exhausting.
You guys think I'm a slave in this house.
But mom is strong. Don't worry about her. A very warm welcome to all our listeners. Tato, it's great being here and chatting to you once again.
Oh, yes, Dee, thank you.
And I think our listeners are going to love today's segment.
I believe so too.
Tato, it's fascinating, that there's a perception in society on how women need to come across as being strong, right? There's certain expectations from society, but that somehow kind of separates us from being authentically strong. What is your view on the societal expectations and authenticity when it comes to strength? Because that is what we're talking about today, is the unperforming woman in being unstrong.
Unstrong it is. Beautiful question, Dee. Talking about expectation and our strength coming through as authentic. I think the picture or the narrative that society has painted is that when you are strong, is you don't even cry. You can't say, I'm tired. You can't say, I'm burning out. I'm overwhelmed. You can't say, I'm not coping. There was a lady that I had a conversation with that said that she's scared to say I'm not coping because she feels that somebody else will be giving her responsibility and that will be a way of her taking away from a job or out of a job. So you can just see how much pressure women are under because they're expected to be strong. And there's this thing in South Africa that women is imbokodo, and I want us to really start thinking about that or scrutinize that narrative imbokodo, what it is, you are tinta mfazi, you are tinta imbokodo. Whilst there is such good that I think is when that thing came, and I think it speaks to the 1956 women, where they really took it upon themselves to fight for the freedom that we deserved. But it can also be taken out of context where we expected to just do, and the strength then is not from internal, which is where then the authenticity is met. Right. So for me, the balancing between is so important, but also more leaning toward my internal natural strength that I want to give so authentically, so organically, so maturely and lovingly, without sacrificing myself.
Yeah. Mbokodo. What does that mean?
What?
The word mbokodo.
Oh, Mbokodo.
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 You need to teach me.
I will teach you.
Yes.
Mbokodo is a strong person, like a warrior. I think that's what it means. And so that's why when they say what tintem for God's, like you touch a man, woman, you touch a rock. Actually, they call it a rock. Mbokodo is a rock. So I think it is the narrative was created to really encourage women to fight for the things they believe in. The subsequent unintended purpose that came out of it is that women are supposed to just withstand and withstand everything and anything that comes their way. Can you see how something that started with a beautiful initiative or intention can be twisted against the very women that we want them? So for me, I always say, let's interrogate this properly. And what does it actually mean for me?
Yes.
Are you going to be somebody who's just like exerting themselves and not take a moment to pause like we spoke in the last time? To say we need to actually pause there and reassess where you are. Is what I'm giving what I actually have? I mean, you and I'm sure you can, and I'm going to allow you to then tip in where we say we need to give from an overflowing cup.
Yes.
If your flow is not overflowing, your cup is not overflowing, then it's going to start depleting yourself. because it means then you are giving from within, from something that, so that's exactly what it is.
Yes. And you can't be giving 100% all the time,
There's no
right?
way.
How are you breaking that 100%? So Tata, I want to explore something because when you started talking about, we always have to be strong. And those are very, very strong words. There's this perception around constant strength. If you reflect on that, and we're talking about having constant strength in every situation that we are faced with, yes, it leads to burnout, it's exhausting. But if you reflect on that, Tato, kind of what stands out? I mean, is there any story you'd like to share with us, with the listeners?
So I think just the term, I mean, when you say constant strength, it doesn't even sound realistic to me. Constant strength?
I know.
No, it's not in this life. Yeah, definitely. I think of my own mother, my late mom used to do it all, and I would see, I mean, as a young girl, of course, I appreciate that my mom is there for me and she's doing that and she's doing that. And my mom has always been, she was an educator, so she's always worked, right, in her life. But I could see as now I was becoming more matured, I could see how this was getting a toll on this woman. And she would say things like, you guys think I'm a slave in this house.
Wow.
My mom used to say such things, to say, I'm a slave, it's everybody else but me. Everybody thinks for themselves and I have to think for everybody. And I think that is sometimes when I think about that, it really hurts me, because then we realize that the burden that we put on women out there, especially in the families, it's actually just ridiculous. And so I advocate for women taking it upon ourselves to then do away with this constant strength, because it, as I said, is just absurd just looking at it, constant strength. Nobody has strength all the time. Like you said, we don't always operate 100%. So what do? Then we need to recognize that I'm not at my best today. I'm not at my best,
And it's okay.
and it's
right?
okay.
Absolutely agree with you. And Tato, I also find, and I'm hoping that our listeners would be able to relate to this because it's something I think does resonate quite a bit. We sacrifice a lot, right? So if you think about, and I read the story some time ago, where a husband and wife took their son to an ice cream parlor and a little boy, but they were finding things very tough. So they could probably only manage a scoop of ice cream each. So the husband he got his son to order the flavor of ice cream, and I think it was a chocolate ice scoop. And then the dad had ordered, and then it came to the mom ordering. And the mom was, no, 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 I'm fine. I don't need to have ice cream. So the little boy then had 2 scoops. And the dad said, or her husband said, don't do that, because you're going to reach a point where you are going to start to resent us. And we do it so often. I recall, growing up in Durban, and I would always let my siblings eat first so that they could have their fair share.
Are you a firstborn?
I am the middle child.
Oh,
Yes.
so out of character. Middle
Yes,
child.
it is. It is.
What you did, yeah.
But I had observed my mother doing this.
Okay.
And we want to be strong all the time. So I'm hearing what you're saying around the constant strength. And how do we show up authentically? So Tato, maybe just share some of your pearls of wisdom around becoming unstrong.
That is such a powerful thing, becoming unstrong. So Dee, I believe in moment of quietness and silences for ourselves for reflection. So whether you choose to do it late at night or either the last thing that you do at night or first thing in the morning, but perhaps spend a little bit of time reflecting on your day. Maybe, at night, on your day, how did I show up today? Where did I overexert myself? Where could I have given myself some time to just breathe and pause? Because then if you do it as a daily reflection, you start to see where you're overcompromising yourself, where it becomes sacrifice, right? And we do know that love has moments of sacrifice, but it cannot be that you are always sacrificing yourself. And we go back to, in our last episode, we spoke about sacrifice. We spoke about selfish,
Yes.
how women do things because they believe that they're supposed to be selfless. So for me, it's in your quiet moment where you get to monitor. And if you journal, it's even better because then you can start to see the pattern. Imagine if you do it every day. At the end of the month, you then look at your journal and look back at the pages. Then you'll start to see the patterns and areas in your life where you actually doing more than what you do. And then you start to learn to be unstrong unnecessarily where it is. And Dee, I think maybe, let's have this conversation. I don't think you and I are sitting and saying that being strong is wrong. I believe that's not the what we are saying. That's not the language that we say.
Yes.
What we say is, are you overexerting yourself?
Yes.
Where are you being strong where it's not necessarily? And because where is that strength being about other people rather than you showing up because that's what you feel you need to show up?
Absolutely. And no, I'm loving this conversation. And to your point, the strength that we have to master, because it's not always, sometimes it does feel like it's instinctual, but I think we've conditioned ourselves, Nato. And again, being strong can say, I am setting a boundary, or I need help, or please, just give me some time to myself. That is showing strength.
I love
It
it.
doesn't make you somebody, and even the term weak, what does that mean? And you spoke about it earlier as well. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be vulnerable. And it's actually exhausting, right? We spoke about that. It's exhausting to be strong all the time. And the way individuals perceive us. So I want to share a story with you. I love my storytelling, as do you. I wasn't well, sure, it was over a decade ago, and quite ill. And my kids was very young. And I remember my sister telling them, you need to also like be independent, help mom out because she's not well. And my son replied saying, "Oh, but mom is strong. Don't worry about her." And so when we were exploring this topic of conversation, what we were going to share with our listeners, that really stood out for me. Is mom's strong. Don't worry about her. And that's what happens. Is you're slowly dying inside because you're not asking for help. You're portraying this image.
I think a lot of women can resonate with what you just said, the portraying of the image. I mean,
Yes.
recently I had a meeting with a family member where we're talking and we're saying, don't portray this image that everything is okay. And we're not encouraging you to go and air your laundry with everyone. But have a circle of people where you feel safe, but where you can just unpack and be. I think it's important to to create a certain narrative for your family and say, we are peaceful in this house and stuff, but we also need to be real.
Yes.
We need to be real and we need to be authentic where we're saying, okay, it's time for a crucial conversation. And we need to have those crucial conversations where when things are not working, we say, let's label it. Something that's a portrayal of strength, and I agree with you to say I need help is a strength. Because if you then continue on how you're doing to pretend strength where it's not, then we all know where that leads to, and it's not going to be beneficial for any of you.
Yeah. And no, I love what you're saying. And I think, they say your vibe attracts your tribe, right? I really believe in that. And yes, we can be strong women, but strong in the sense that is authentic. But again, Tato, and I'd love to explore this a little bit more on strength as a professional in a work setup to strength in personal circumstances.
Okay.
And for me, whenever somebody says, "Oh, but that person is so difficult," they're very strong-headed in the corporate context or in the work context, but I'd actually go out and have a glass of wine with this person, on a personal level. I could be friends with them. Why is it that we have to portray different stages of strength, different areas of strength, right? And I also find that very exhausting.
It
So
must be exhausting. And I think it speaks to people not being authentic.
yes.
Look, let's be honest and real. The workplace can be very restrictive, right? Where people are not allowed to be to who they are. And so people then, it's easier to perform and pretend that I've got it all figured out. And meanwhile, you are dying inside.
Yes.
So I think it has been orchestrated in that way, the workplace, the corporate environment. We've all been there, we've seen it. We've seen it. And people then feel that, oh my goodness, if I come differently, it's not going to be accepted. It's going to be something foreign, and it's going to be like, you don't belong here.
Yes.
Because remember, psychology tells us that one of the needs for every single being is to belong. So people will do everything in their power to belong, even if it means going outside of who they are. Even if it means faking strength.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and sadly. And that is why you'll find women like that then they become so critical. They become too critical, like you say, they're headstrong, they're adamant, they bang. It's because they've moved away from who they are. The nurturing feminine side, and now they want to be macho and show everybody that I can be strong, I can make firm decision, I can be assertive. And so I think it's because of how the environment has been and the people not being true to themselves to say, actually, I'm going to choose myself.
Yes, I love that. Choose myself. Right?
Yeah, it's a choice, D. It's a choice. I'm going to perform or I'm going to be myself. And I had a conversation with another lady last week who said, Tata, you and I do personal development work. We are coaches, we do leadership development work. And we know that in a small spaces, we make an impact. And like in coaching, you see transformation real time. But guess what happens? We send those people back to the toxic environment where we expect them to come and just what happens? How do we start to systematically help people to be unstrong?
Exactly. And you used a crucial word there, choice. Right? Because we feel that it's the norm. Like, I don't have a choice in this. I have to be strong. I have to be strong for my children. I have to be strong for my family. I have to be strong in the work environment. If I want to progress my career, I need to be a bitch, right? Because it comes across as I'm a strong, powerful woman. I need to, as you said, dress up, show up in power suits. What happened to that kind of feminine side? You lose it.
Yeah.
Because the idea of being strong is I need to be masculine. I need to behave like a man, right? And I remember a movie I was watching, and it was about, trying to be a man is a waste of a woman.
Oh, that is so powerful.
Yes.
That is so profound, actually. And it's like pretending to be anything at all that you are not.
Yes.
It's a waste of you, actually. Exactly. Because you could be showing up as you and giving the world whatever that special thing that has been deposited within you.
Tato, you've shared some great perspectives on being strong in the professional corporate setup. Let's talk a bit more around at a personal level. Yeah.
I think this is interesting because I think in personal, usually when people are starting out a relationship, whether it's new friendship or romantic relationships, people tend to be like, not let in other people.
Got it.
Or let out what they trigger. Yeah, got it. And so it happens there a lot where it's like your partner say, pick me up there, do this for me.
Yes.
And do that. And you just do it because it's like, I don't want to mess up in this relationship. It's a new friendship and stuff. But I think it's important to be yourself from the onset of any relationship, even at work. Okay, now we're done with work. Home, right? Even at home where it's expected for you. I mean, I'll share my story when my son was newborn. first time parent. Sure, there's a lot. And my son was prim, so he spent the first 52 days in hospital, and I had quite a lot of adjusting to do. And I think I showed a moment of strength in that, according to my sister. I mean, my sister was like, I'd never seen such resilience and strength from you. But there were times where I thought that, no, actually, I'm not coping. And I had to be honest with myself. And at that time, in fact, I needed to be alone. And my family were supposed to spend Christmas with me. And I said, I need to be alone. And I need to show up for myself then, because I felt that, and that's the thing of it, because I knew that when they share, I would want to perform. I would want to, like, they share, I'm hosting them, although they came in to support, but I would want to do things, for them as well. But I was like, actually, no. When I want to wake up at 11 o'clock, I want to wake up at 8 o'clock. But I don't want to do my bed. I don't want to do my bed. And I don't want any pressure of doing this. And I think that's the thing, that sometimes we want to hide this thing from people close to us because we feel that I'm expected to show up in this way and to do that.
Yes, absolutely. And that people will look at you differently, right? So, I mean, I love the story that, you shared about little Ole, because at the same time, you are teaching certain behaviors. And I think we need to be very mindful. And I know, I mean, you're a mom of a little boy, but how we spoke about how we are teaching people to treat us. And by being strong all the time, I'm teaching my daughter that she has to be strong all the time and she must not depend on a man. Right. And for my son, it's like, okay, I can sit back and my wife needs to be the strong one. But I mean, it's not the case. It can have the adverse effect, but we need to take those lessons. And I know, I mean, I'm married for a second time, but when my husband and I were dating, he said, after a while, when we got very comfortable with each other, he said, sure, you gave me a hard time, hey? It's like, I've never had such a hard time before, but it's because when you are a single woman and you've done everything for yourself, you're like, okay, I don't really need anybody.
Yeah.
And we all need someone.
We all need
Right?
somebody. That's a lie.
Yes, it is a lie.
No, it's a lie. And I think I like that angle, Dee, because that's a lie that this independent woman. Actually, just this week, my big brother sent us a long voice note, and we were talking about some things. So we've got a siblings WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
And he was warning us against pride. I know it's a different conversation, but he was warning us to be mindful, not to be proud. And he says one of the examples that pride manifests itself in is in this independent thinking.
Yes.
And it actually speaks so well to what we're talking about being unstrong, because if you don't say and recognize and say that I need help, it's pride. And then you want to do everything yourself and overexert yourself. Meanwhile, you've got people around you that could help you with that task.
And I call it self-sabotage because we want to have everything together. And it shouldn't be the case. I mean, even the language that we use, the social media that we see, kind of out there around catch flights, not feelings. It's those types of things. Nice girls don't get the corner office. And I had a thought around that when you're talking about strength, because it is that strong woman, the powerhouse, who's going to get the corner office. And I'd like us maybe just to explore the aspect, and I'm going back to the workplace,
That's
right?
fun. It's interplay.
Yes, but for me, nice girls don't need the corner office. Yeah. So that whole portrayal of strength, let's break that down a bit, Tato, because let's really bring it to life for our listeners.
Have you heard of the Queen Bee syndrome?
Yes.
Yes, you probably know it. I think the corner office thing leads to that.
Yes.
Right? Where I feel I have arrived.
Yeah.
As a woman, I have arrived. I've got the corner office. I'm that it person, and so I forget to lift others' breath. And I think that's what we don't want in here on the unperforming woman. So when you are undoing, right? When you are unstrong and strengthening, it's so that you can create capacity to take others along.
Love that.
because we are stronger together.
Yes.
And so this narrative that I am this, I'm this, I have arrived, I think that's what kills people. And that's what, it literally kills people, because now you're strong. Now the tribe you spoke about earlier, Dee, you don't even see the need for a tribe.
Yes.
And I think there's so much that we can learn from one another, that we can share with one another when we go together.
And be one another's role models, right? Role models to our daughters, our sons, our nieces, whoever it may be, is I'm actually okay. I'm okay not to be okay. I don't have to put on this facade. And actually, my boss was teasing me this morning, and she was saying to me, I should also wear white because you look so fresh. And I said, you don't know how I'm feeling right now. But again, we try to put these coping mechanisms in place. They're not coping mechanisms. They're actually
just
very
putting a
unhealthy.
plaster on a wound.
That's it. That's exactly it. Yeah?
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with showing up. I think that's not what we say. We're not saying people should not show up. You must certainly show up, but you must also be honest with yourself, be able to have an honest conversation to say, I am not okay.
Yes.
I am running on a low. And I often these days, I think I'm very honest to say, guys, I think I'm on reserve.
Yes.
I'm on reserve, and I can feel myself slowly going to the other side. I need rest.
Yes.
And I actually do appreciate you for that. I must say that when I met you, you were unapologetic about your rest days. And I mean, sometimes you will frustrate me. Like, I really want to speak to Dee. And Dee is like, nowhere to be found. And when she comes, like, oh, sis, yesterday was my rest day. And I'm like, that's woman. But then as I think about it, it's like, actually, everybody should do this for themselves.
Yes. You don't even want to know what happens to my family in Durban. They're contacting my son to say, is mom okay? We saw her last scene, and then now they know, okay, so now it's Saturdays because I'm on another contract, but usually it was a Wednesday. But those are the practical things, and it's setting boundaries, and it's like you're talking about you on reserve, right? So my husband laughs at me and the boys, because if the moment the light comes on, well, the light hardly ever comes on in my car.
Yeah.
Because I'm terrified.
No,
Like there's going to be an accident and I'm going to be stuck. So last week I got into the car and I left the house, and around the corner and I see the light comes on. Did I not go back home and park my car? And I'm like, no.
So how is it going to get petrol if
No,
it's
my husband has
going
to make a
petrol?
plan, because I will not be.
Yeah.
I mean, I was being silly, but I thought to myself, sure,
Yeah.
I'm not taking a chance.
And I think that's exactly it. Is see when you're on reserve.
Yes.
But that is why those reflections are important, because then you have to know your strategies that you have in place to say, when I'm like this, what do I do? Who do I run? Who's my support system? What is my support system? Because who is people, but what is also recognizing these things that I can do that will help me to recenter.
Exactly.
And reconnect with my inner self.
Yeah. It's like when your phone battery is about to die, right?
It warns you.
How often has your phone died, Tato?
I don't let it.
You see? Right? I'm the same.
I don't
You will
let
never
it.
see it red. That bar is always green.
Yeah.
Right? Why? Why is it that we put ourselves, our emotional health, our physical health in the red?
That is an important question. How are you doing there as the viewer and listener watching this and listening to this? Ask yourself the very question, reflect on this and see which areas of your life are you allowing them to be red, to be going on 10%, to be on reserve, and you're just carrying on and carrying on and carrying on, because that is not a measure of strength.
Not at all. At what expense?
At what expense?
Tato, a point of reflection, and I think something that we should unpack a bit, is how do we reconcile responsibility and authenticity when it comes to being strong
Or unstrong.
or unstrong? Yes.
Well, that's better. And it's such an important question, because some people want to hide bad behavior.
Yes.
In general, when we're talking authenticity in the name of authenticity. And I think similarly to your question, responsibilities cannot be neglected because in the name of authenticity. So how do we reconcile that? Is to be true about your responsibilities. If you're a mother, you still need to tend to your children. That's your primary responsibility. If you are employed at company X, you still have your duties to fulfill at company X in your role. Duty as a wife, as in your ministry, in your home, in your family. What we are saying, right, is that you need to be authentic to yourself about where you are in terms of your strength. And that talks to, again, the boundaries where you clear about what you can and what you can't do. And that also changes with seasons. You might be in a season where you really don't have much to give. I remember last year, I'll tell you, this answers the question nicely. Towards the end of last year, I think around my birthday in November, I really felt that I have nothing. And the words that I used was, I have nothing in me to give. And I still had coaching sessions. So that's responsibility, right? I still had a commitment on coaching sessions that were already set. But when that realization came, I think it was a Sunday after church or Monday, starting after dropping my son off at school. And I was like, guys, I am done. I have nothing in me to give. And you would know that, like, facilitating, coaching, and work is giving so much of yourself. You pouring out so much of yourself. And I had nothing. And I had to be honest and phone those people and say, I really have to we have to reschedule.
Yes.
And I looked at the following week and then negotiated. Fortunately, these are the people that I was already in a relationship. So we're in like coaching session 4 or
Yes.
5. We already had been walking the journey together. But at that moment, I had to be authentic with myself, but not neglecting my responsibilities. Because neglecting my responsibilities would have looked like me just not showing up for my coaching sessions. But I had to say, I need to reschedule. And then I spent, I think, 2 days just in bed, dropping off or fetching him in bed and like just reconnecting. The only thing that I did was prayed. Like I was in prayer and eat, of course. Prayer and eating. But that's how you reconcile the two.
But well done to you, Tato, because it's difficult. And I can definitely, take that advice and apply it, because I'm sure many of our listeners as well will feel that we have a day full of meetings. And I'm one of those. I'm like, "Ugh, I hope they cancel. I hope they cancel." Yeah. So I can at least have like 30 minutes. But what you are saying is just so profound, because you had the relationship, but you were honest. Say, can we reschedule? And that must have just been such a relief, even though, yeah, it was absolutely. Rather than thinking, oh, by chance, and I don't know if you've done this before, but sometimes you're just checking in with individuals to say,
Hoping they say,
are you
can we
able to meet?
cancel?
Yes. And it's awful. It's awful because you don't want to come across as, oh, but I'm like, oh, I'm really not in a good space. I'm not strong.
Yeah.
And again, that word strong, right?
Yeah. And I think if you haven't done the work, I'm sure people are tired of hearing me. How to say people need to do the work. But it's true. If you haven't done the work on yourself, you can't get past the guilty part that we spoke about in our first episode.
Yes.
Because guilt will creep in. It will.
Yes.
And if you haven't done the work, you will succumb to guilt. And you will not shut it out. Because I will say, you know what? I know that I'm a professional. I know my work ethic. I show up. But right now, I'm done. So you need to that's why personal development work has to be continuous every single time. Work on yourself, because you start developing strategies. You start developing strategies to quieten the voice that comes and say, this is your responsibility. You're shying away from your work because you know your truth and you know that you show up where it matters the most.
And Tato, as you're speaking, I was just thinking about a conversation we've had with the CARS agency around, we're targeting this kind of audience of women, but the fact that men could be listening to this, and it would give them insights around how to also better manage expectations with their wife, with their daughters, and also say, it's okay, come and relax, put your feet up, because we are not good at being straight. with our partners, right? So we drop hints and it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But I think it's also that perception around we are starting this movement, but how do we then also start educating the men in our lives?
So you know why I was laughing when you were asking that, when you were taking that, because very recently somebody in my close circle shared a story about how her husband, was left alone with the kids, and she had to travel for work for a whole week, right? and then she says, it was like the first day, come like 6 o'clock in the evening. Daddy, what are we having for dinner? And then he goes, oh my goodness, it's on him now. And then that whole weekend after that, he said to his wife, you know what? From now on, you only obligated to cook for us twice a week.
Wow.
Every other day, people can sort themselves out, whether it's a peanut butter sandwich, whether it's whatever, because there is just so much pressure on you. So sometimes it takes men to realize that sometimes it's like when there's the absence, when the absence of a woman is not there, then they start to see the actual pressure or the responsibility that women carry. So I think what I want to say is that Renee talks about this when she talks about bravery, when she talks about the anatomy of trust.
Yes.
And the anatomy of trust, she has created an acronym, BRAVING. And the G on the braving talks about generosity. And how she unpacks it is you need to always assume the most generous thing about your partner. So how I'm linking this back to this is that when you are a man, a partner, a husband listening to this, when your partner forgot to cook or forgot to do something in the house, assume the most generous thing about them. The generous thing that you could assume is that they're really tired, or it could be an indication that they're really going through something and their strength is not there. And that's when you need to step in and support.
Absolutely, Tato. That's such great advice and insights, right? Because we can't make assumptions. I mean, our partners, our loved ones, they can't read our minds. And we do, again, put on that front. And we need to, give ourselves a break.
And so it actually takes me to the question, I think it's a nice segue to this question, why do women struggle to release the need to always be strong? In your experience, in people around you, women that you've seen in the workplace, why do you think it's so hard for us as women to release that need?
Oh, that is such a powerful question. And I think for me, Tato, just at a personal level, I'm a nurturer by nature, but I do enable bad behavior because I try to overcompensate quite often. And being strong or being unstrong or not strong, let's not say unstrong, being not strong is me letting down the people that I love.
So that's what the message you say to give to
Yes, that's the
yourself.
narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just feel like I always have to have everything done together, be ahead, because I am a high energy person by nature and everything has to be done. I mean, I remember years ago, it's just over a weekend, lunch is already done like before we've even had breakfast. Yes. But it's silly. Like, why was I doing that? Being an overachiever and everything, for what?
And I think so many women can actually relate with that, where you that thing that I need to be strong for the message that you said you're creating, that I need to be strong for everyone. And I think that's where the need comes from. Perhaps we need to explore how we start to detach ourselves from that narrative as women. How do we start to give ourselves permission to be unstrong? Because I think that's the key message here. And I think therein lies the answer actually. We need to give ourselves permission because no one will give it to us.
And I wonder if our listeners will actually give themselves permission.
Yeah. What do you need to do to give yourself permission? Because you deserve moments of unstrong.
And it does not have to be complicated, right? It's those little acts, Tato.
Yeah.
And I think that is what we're trying to convey to our listeners
Yeah.
with the different segments that we've been talking about is you don't have to do a whole 180 or 360. Just think about what are the little things. Because the moment we start putting these little acts in place, it's starting to form habits, which then leads to your behavior.
I agree. And I think maybe perhaps one of the things that we should consistently do with you listeners is get in the habit of having an accountability partner. So as you are committing to yourself to say, this is the one thing that in this month I'm going to try out, is a little active thing. Find somebody who can hold you accountable. Your accountability partner who can call you and say, D, you said from now on you're going to have rest. Even if it's not a rest, maybe the one rest day a month. Yes. It's been a month. How are you doing with that? What are you doing for your rest day? Right? What action have you taken? Because we need to start doing these little practices. It can't be something that we talk about. Yes. We have to implement it in our lives. Absolutely. Right. What a beautiful episode once more, Dee.
Loved it. I think we can go on and on talking about these. And I'm sure our listeners have stories that they want to share as well.
That's good.
Yeah.
So what stories do you have? Share with us in the comments. Share with us on our socials. We want to create a movement on unstrong, unperforming. Let's talk there. That's the nature of our conversation. Let's not hide anything. We are done hiding. We are done unperforming. Let's stop performing. Right, that's a wrap, Dee. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tato.
And for you women, go out there and unperform.
Love it.